Cha-ching! Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to BS session number 71. They say we went to Shotshow. Shotshow. We went. We saw. We ate it. Nacho Daddy. This is our story.
Because I have a shotgun and rifle that I use for, and 22 gauge that I use for ptarmigan, moose, and black bear.
You're so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
You're listening to your weekly dose of BS, Ballistically Speaking. The Ballistically Speaking Podcast.
Did you know, I never really thought about this before. We really do have a very exciting intro, don't we?
Do we?
You chose good music for our intro, I think.
Oh, stop it. Thanks. Yeah, I think it's kind of grunty, liven things up. Hola,
Grunty?
Nancy. Hola, Scott and Yenzi. Our faithful listeners.
Yeah, it's going to be an whole lot of Nancy and an whole lot of Scott and just a hello to Jens.
Yeah,
Not a
I
jawohl!
understand that anyway. Yeah, it's a long way from Europe to Central America. So,
Oh, is it? Okay.
I don't know. I got nothing.
It's not for some people of German descent.
Well, no, this is true. Yeah.
There's some of them in that, what's that place called? Oh, Argentina?
Argentina.
Yeah.
It just was a popular destination for some Europeans, I guess, sometime back.
What is Scott?
Folks, come to BS podcast for some history.
What does Scott Chitchell mean? Austin Matthews just isn't that good. I don't know who Austin Matthews is.
I don't know.
Is that who does our intro music?
No idea.
Because we're not gonna lie, people. We just went on a website and we paid the fee and All-Star Hockey. Okay. Do you not follow hockey?
Me?
Yeah.
No. Ever since I quit playing senior, I can't hardly stand to watch it.
Grody.
I pout too much.
Well, I guess it's time for us to say happy birthday to Carly from Apex Optics. Are we going to sing happy birthday on the air to her?
Sing it?
Yeah.
Is that what you suggested?
Should
You know, Chris, do you know me at all? How long have you known me?
I think
You
that's
don't know me at
why.
all.
That's exactly why we should sing it.
No, I hate happy birthdays.
Okay, well, happy 23rd birthday to Carly anyway.
Right. I'll sing to her in person.
Okay, that's a great idea.
Less embarrassing for everyone here.
Or maybe we should just ask Vanya to sing for it. Vanya's actually requesting that we don't sing happy birthday to Carly.
Right.
Like not even a
Vanya.
smiley face emoji or a thumbs up. It's just please don't.
Just, right.
Whatever. You guys are a bunch of buzzkills.
Boom Country says, "How was your free fondling at TSA?" You know what? It was surprisingly gentle. I may go back for more. It was an experience.
10 out of 10 would recommend. We missed Boom Country at the show. What happened with that?
You know what? I saw early.
We were
on that he
supposed to
was
go
gonna be
out
there.
with him on the Wednesday night, but we already had an invite to the CSSA show that we couldn't ignore.
Yeah.
And he's not Canadian, so he couldn't come with us.
Right.
Which kind of sucked. Sorry, I cut you off. Carry on.
Stupid. Yeah, you know what? Next year, I guess. But I felt bad about that because we'd been talking to him a little bit, and it wouldn't have taken much to link up with him at the goddamn show. But you get there and you're so bloody overwhelmed with where the hell do we go, and even if you do have a plan, you're on your way there and squirrel, there were shiny things everywhere, and so.
Well,
it leaked out of my brain.
It's also a case of everybody else is running around like a chicken with their head cut off. Unless you can meet them mid-stride, You ain't meeting them.
Nancy says, "Oh my God, you don't even sing for me." And she called me by my first and last name, so you know it's serious.
Oh no. Well, in fairness, you didn't sing for Carly either. So
That's right. Still
I will.
loyal.
I'll tell you this though. I sing "Happy Birthday" to my wife.
You don't,
No, I do.
or do?
I
Oh,
do.
you do.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that makes you so much more fucking virtuous than me.
I feel like such a better human being having said that.
Well, I have no doubt that you are.
We have a
Can
tradition
we
of
move past this?
not yet, not yet. I haven't finished embarrassing myself as a man.
Right. Okay.
We have a tradition of singing "Happy Birthday" to each other as poorly as we can manage. So
That's interesting. You should get film of that sometime.
nope. Um,
James Kopech says, plus Kurt doesn't like crowds. Am I really that transparent?
that's not true. He's good friends with Jens. Jens is a kraut. Oh, crowds. I'm sorry. I heard that wrong.
I needed that. Oh, too funny.
Bending
No,
says,
you know what? Heavily medicated, I can handle just about any crowd.
meaning with a drink.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bending says, well, look who got a taste of freedom on vacation. Actually, I barely looked at an AR or a pistol
I know,
the entirety of Shotshow. Yeah. There was so much of Shotshow that I can't even talk about because we were really just kind of looking for relevant things to us and looking at all the cool new handguns and all the new styles of AR and AR accessories and all that sort of stuff. It just makes me depressed. And I don't want to be depressed in Vegas because the only things to do when you're depressed in Vegas is gamble and get hookers. And my wife doesn't agree with the hookers, and I don't want to lose money on gambling. Gambling?
Right.
Yeah.
Gambling, sure.
Gambling. So anyway,
you know what I discovered last year was that like looking at the ARs, and there are so many ARs and variants and variations and everything else. It's you just kind of AR'd out down there, to be honest. Pistols, on the other hand, for whatever reason, the couple of times we stopped by the Walter booth. Man, they have some nice pistols. I was unaware.
Oh, you didn't know?
Well, I knew they made pistols, but I really wasn't terribly familiar with that brand.
What's their entry level duty style pistols? The PPS?
It might be, yeah.
I've shot the PPS. A friend of mine's father has. I think it's the PPS, but they really are nice. They're very ergonomic.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they've got a couple of steel framed pistols too, or metal framed. I'm not sure whether it's aluminum or steel or whatever. Man, they felt nice in the hand and good weight and everything. I was really quite enamored, and I'm not that much of a pistol guy. I mean, I've got a CZ Shadow 2 that I think is gorgeous, but I don't shoot a lot at all. But yeah, that one really kind of tickled me a little.
Now you can't expand your collection anyway. Ruger had a really nice competition pistol that looked very similar to the Shadow 2.
Oh, was that right? I didn't see.
It was the two iterations of it were the two on the very right hand side of the display case.
Okay.
You never saw that one?
No, I didn't.
It came stock with the flared magwell and the cuts on the slide, and it's obviously the competition pistol.
Optic ready and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and it really well. They had one that was optic ready, one that wasn't. They had both of them there, and I can't even remember what the model was, but and I don't really care because I would like to own one. I actually would buy that one. It was really nice, but I can't. So,
You know, it's it's still kind of interesting the amount of vendors that we talked to down there. It happened lots last year. It happened lots this year.
Mm.
You get into a good conversation with somebody, and well, and they start asking, can we tell you more about this or whatever, and you're, you're like, well, no, you know what, in Canada we can't have those, and the jaw drops.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of.
Well, on Friday, when everybody was, shuffling off and all the vendors were bored out of their skull, we got pulled over by, what was it called? Sort of with a V, and all I can think of is Invisalign, and that's a retainer.
Oh, it's in my pack.
I know it's in my pack too. But, oh, you brought yours with you. Good. But they make, I'm just filling air. They make green dots, not red dots. Their whole color scheme is based on green. So they make green dots and green dots
Oh.
with green lasers and green dots with green lasers and cameras.
Viridian.
Hmm. Their products actually looked really neat.
They
Sean
are
got it.
quite nice, to be honest.
Sean had
There you
it just
go.
by me saying it was green. Yeah.
Yeah.
They really did look neat. I really, really liked the idea of their, it was a flashlight laser camera. And it was meant for mounting on the front of a pistol, but it would work on a shotgun. And I was thinking, like, if you were, or yeah, it would work, you're right. It would fit on anything that's Picatinny, but yeah. But it was nice and compact, so even on a pistol. If I was in the U.S. and I had a firearm for self-defense, like I don't think I'm like gonna go like shooting somebody in the back while they're running away in any case. But it could be really beneficial having a recording of your act of self-defense if it ever came to having to defend yourself in court, whether criminally or whether civilly. I mean, even if you have no criminal charges in the US, you could still be sued civilly depending on what was going on. And I just, having a camera seemed like a really good idea.
Yeah, I'm just looking at their like the ones that you're talking about right now, the X series. It's funny, some of these things. Hey, the X5L achieved tactical dominance. The XTL cam illuminate and record with power. The X5L cam aim, record, shoot. And the X5L-RS elevate your rifle. I got one more for you and I'll quit.
Okay.
Rifle accessories, HS1 grip and rip aiming technology.
Grip and rip. Oh, that's right. That was the one. It was the 4N grip that had the flashlight and laser in it. Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit of an angled grip out front. That was actually kind of cool. Yeah.
It was. Yeah. Some of their flashlights, like they had pretty good illumination to them as well. Yeah. What's Scotty asking here when he asked if there were any new big yard finders?
Range finders in yards? I don't know. Where? I'm just trying to find it here. What?
While you're trying to find it, I don't even know what this means, James. James says Kris should make one that mounts on his foot and fist. I don't understand what that means. I need to have a recording of me walking. I just walk around the streets just punching people in the back of the head. You know those the knockout game? It was a thing like a number of years ago. People were filming themselves. They'd walk up behind complete strangers and punch them in the back of the head, and you win the game if you knock them cold or whatever. Yeah, I invented it. Yeah.
Yeah, Scotty's talking about rangefinders in yards. No, sorry, that's old stuff. That's old news.
I didn't actually see a whole lot of new for range finding.
I know there were a few, but they were those ones that would be so far out of reach for most civilians. It was kind of pointless to have a look at it. Maybe I have to expand my horizons. I had this this little bit of internal conflict, because we're trying to look for stuff that's relevant to our main audience or whatever, right? So that restricts a lot that we see at that shot show. But also, I think there are some people who would like to. This is going to sound maybe a lot more bold than it should, but I think some people like to live a little bit vicariously through through us or other people, other YouTubers, other people that show products like that. It's even neat, to see products that you will never be able to use or own, So, but I think that has its limits. Rangefinders, no, there's not a great deal that's new out there, at least that I saw.
I saw lots of companies that had them, but none that were like
Right.
of note, and not ones that we haven't seen previously. They were just displaying
Right.
product that already
But
existed. Yeah. We could have missed
Boon's
it though.
helping
It's a
us,
big show.
Try and reef our feet out of our collective mouth. He's saying Vortex Impact and like a
Yeah.
Geovid.
Well, it's funny. We didn't get to either of those booths.
No.
I don't know. I don't think
Vortex
I've ever.
even there. I don't think they were there.
No, they might have been. I didn't even look. Like I'm not really interested in going to see Vortex at SHOT Show, to be honest with you.
No.
Um,
Nor am I.
But okay, just a second here, because I got to back up for a sec. There was
Vortex.
So the problem Vortex wasn't at the show. What a bunch of doofuses, eh? The problem was saying some YouTube videos showed semi rifles with claims that can compete with bolt actions in PRS. I did notice a number of companies saying that. There were even there's rifles coming out. Was it HTI's new rifle that they announced? They're guaranteeing 1/8 MOA.
What?
I'm pretty sure it was 1/8 MOA guaranteed.
Now
that was a bolt gun.
Chris, sorry.
I thought it was HTI that was doing that.
Is that remember when we were doing the first show of the year and we talked about kind of doing the SHOT Show planner? Was that company we brought up that their slogan was "shoots just as good as your old rifle" or something like that?
I have no idea. I don't remember that.
Put a new barrel on, spend $8,000 on a new chassis, and it shoots just as good as your old gun used to.
Marketing is a funny animal, isn't it? Alex from not. Oh, that's sorry. That's not Alex. That's
No, it's not.
We met him at SHOT Show. Why am I not remembering names here? This is bullshit. I apologize for that.
Receive no judgment from me. God, I'm
no, but it's Vernon. Oh my God, it's Vernon. So Vernon from Ultimate Arms is saying, yeah, that's what they said. He shot it at range day. So yeah, they were guaranteeing 1/8, and I did see, or I heard tell of a bunch of companies actually that are claiming that their semis are precision rifles. And good for PRS. And I don't know if we're getting to a point where machining is legitimately getting to that point, as long as you've got, the right equipment for that. But we already know that even an inexpensive PRS rifle is outshooting the average shooter. So what percentage of people are really going to notice that much of a difference between them anyway?
I don't know. I know currently, and for the last several years, they've been down in the States, at least anyways, they've been running PRS gas gun matches, or at least a division with gas guns. So, and also this idea that a heavily modified AR-15 will shoot just as good as a bolt gun. Man, that's an old argument, or a long-running argument, let's say, because the bench rest guys have been doing that for years,
right?
And it takes some work, I think, I dare say more work than it would take for a good bolt gun.
Yeah.
But it is possible. Super
But
accurate
even
AR-15s are out there.
yeah, even several years ago, I remember seeing U.S. companies claiming they were making AR-10s with half MOA to 1 MOA accuracy,
Yeah.
which, in 6.5 Creedmoor, like, okay, maybe it'll get you out there. But and Scott, even like Scott's saying here,
Yeah.
you only need 1 MOA to win a PRS match, in his opinion.
Right.
And I don't know that much about PRS, but that sounds
Yeah.
plausible.
Yeah.
Multiple recoil impulses. So I'm assuming this is Shane,
Yeah.
is saying, I would say accurately shooting a gas gun is more difficult. Multiple recoil impulses. I can't have an opinion on that because I'm not good at shooting out far enough to know whether multiple impulse recoil impulses would make a difference, or to what degree they would, or anything.
It does. It it does have an effect for sure, and that's again a kind of a long known thing. I remember back when I was sort of heavily invested in the M14 M1A type things, that was a chief complaint, especially for scope life, to be honest. Because, and I mean, you've got that heavy mass of a bolt, especially in a rifle like an M1A.
Mm.
It's heavy, and that spring in that thing is so long and heavy and strong. There are a couple different recoil impulses. So, especially the guys that are really invested in PRS now, shooting, the 6 arcs and stuff like that in a 19-20 pound rifle, where the damn thing doesn't even hardly flinch when you shoot it. They're talking about the need to follow trace and see their impacts and all that kind of stuff. I can see it being more difficult with a gas gun for sure.
Shane, how is Kurt's volume now?
Oh, I'm leaning back. I forgot my adapter for my laptop to plug into my mic, so it's just
Well,
the
I just
laptop mic.
I just doubled your volume too. So,
Excellent.
guys, if we're still out of sync, let us know so I can lower my mic volume. One thing so we stream on StreamYard. StreamYard needs a mic check function.
I would write a letter if I were you.
It is such a pain in the ass to try to do over this format. I mean, if we're all in the same room using the same mics, a mic check is simply just look at your levels on your controller module, but you just can't do it here. It pisses me off. And yeah, as always, better when his mouth is closer. Yeah. Well, that's the problem. You don't play to the mic.
No, I don't. I
Um,
don't have this desperate need to be heard all the time.
Well, you should, because you're a co-host on a national podcast. But
Oh, right.
I'm
there's that.
glad you highlighted Cappy's comment here, because I wanted to highlight it too. So go ahead.
Cappy's saying lots of semi-autos can run accuracy-wise with bolt guns. They can be harder to drive, less forgiving to flaws in fundamentals, and as they wear out, they require more maintenance and parts replacements. So there you have it from a trusted accuracy source.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
it's,
guessing he knows what he's doing.
I would say he does. Yeah.
Here's a good question from Spud. Did you guys see the Nexus single stage reloading press made by Short Action Customs by any chance?
Oh, that sucker!
Yeah.
It made me a little bit moist, to be honest.
That's gross.
Yeah,
As
just a
the
little bit.
as the least experienced. So we actually went and saw it. We were with, it was you, me, Jens, Shane, and Steve, correct?
Yes.
From Shane and Steve from EM Precision. We all went together. And as the least experienced shooter of the group, I will still describe the Nexus single stage in one word. And that one word is Buddha.
Mhm. And bloody expensive.
How much was it?
remember what the
I
heck
don't
it
even
was.
remember.
I want to. Did he say 1,700? And that's.
It was 1,700.
I don't know if that's right or not. I thought that's what he said, but none of their
Spud's
stuff is
saying-
cheap. But
Spud's saying
some excellent-
$775 US.
Oh, maybe that's what it is.
Mike is asking, did we see the Caldwell chronograph, since this year seems the
That's
year of the
fine,
chrono
yeah.
and lever guns? How much was that thing? Because we did stop
Yep.
there.
I never asked, but I did see it.
Because I'll tell you what, unless it undercuts the other two on the market by half price,
Yeah.
I'm going to pull a GSP and say I am not impressed by his performance. His performance. First of all, it's about 2/3 the size of the original Lab Radar.
Right.
Just when the other two guys are going to fucking pocket size, it's legitimately 2/3 of the size. The buttons on it, if you have eyes, like if you're suffering from glaucoma, you will probably enjoy that one because the buttons are monstrous.
They are. Yeah.
Absolutely monstrous. Now, the Lab Radar's buttons are the original Lab Radar's buttons are regular sized, but it has a tiny little screen and most of it is just plastic frontage. I will give Caldwell the benefit of the doubt that their screen is about 3 times the size of the original Lab Radar.
Yeah.
But other than that, like, well, and I also would have to look into it a little bit more because there was nobody at the Caldwell booth. There was no one for us to talk to. We were there for what, about 5 minutes looking at this thing, and there was nobody, and there was nobody else at the booth either.
No.
So we didn't
Tumbleweed
really
rolled through.
Yeah, so we really didn't get to investigate it very much, but I heard tell that they're not using a Doppler radar system in it. I don't know what they would be using.
Yeah.
$599. Yeah, that's too much. That's too much.
Well, given where Caldwell's typical pricing is for their products, like they're generally a budget product, right?
Yeah.
So
that being said, I would like to get my hands on one and try them, but I'm not going to pay $600 for US for one. That's insane.
Kind of a cool looking case, though, in a sense.
Yeah. Well, I think if they had brought it out last year or 2 years ago, it might have made a bit of a splash. I think they need to do a little bit more market research and realize that Garmin and Lab Radar are now like 8 years ahead of them.
Unfortunate timing, I would say.
Yeah, somebody's getting fired over that one. So the problem is asking
Scotty Chitchell.
Oh, sorry.
Calm down, Scotty. Nobody in that entire show saw any primers anywhere.
Nobody looked at primers. Nobody talked about primers. They just pretended they didn't exist.
Yeah. There were some scalpers out front, though, that I was a bit suspicious of that may have had some.
Other than that, the closest we got to was Byrna's self-defense shotgun shell that is exclusively primer powered.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway,
that was kind of neat, actually.
It was neat. It was very cool. Problem asks, has anyone done a comparison between the new small Lab Radar and Garmin? We've done a physical comparison. We are hoping to do a performance comparison sometime in the near future, but that's in the works. So
great. Yep. Warner.
Oh, well, I guess we might as well talk about it because some people are already mentioning it. Shane and Kyle's mentioning it.
Levers?
The lever guns. It was year of the lever gun. We played around with several of them. Some of them are trying to compete with Henry and Marlin and like Chiappa and Winchester, like the established, lever action rifles. Some of them are trying to compete with companies like Mad Pig Customs, only doing like a production model that would be on par with Mad Pig. Right. We've got to play with a Mad Pig. I forget what booth that was. We accidentally went down. It was
Right.
back in the dark corner. We thought, oh, there's a booth there. There must be a whole other row along this back wall where nobody is going. And we go around the corners, the one booth and nothing else.
I hope that guy got a cut rate, man.
No shit. I hope so too.
Oh,
But he had several Mad Pig Customs
mhm.
lever guns, and I can see why people pay the price for those things.
They are juicy. Yeah.
They were really, really neat. Neat's
Yeah,
a word.
I think Rooster needs one in his life. 45-7.
I don't blame you. I want to start saving some shekels, and sometime in the next 12 to 18 months we're gonna have to see if we can do a twofer buy or something.
That would be great. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? I saw Kyle's saying, and I saw his video. I was watching it yesterday, I believe. He was over at Aero Precision looking at that lever.
Yeah.
And I regret not seeking that out. We
just
saw
one
a
sec.
bunch of others. Yeah.
Kyle from Slamfire Radio. Just so
That's
everybody
right.
knows.
Sorry.
Yeah. Okay, carry on. You're right. We kind of I played with it. I never asked anybody about it.
Yeah, I didn't pay much attention to it. And then we went over to the Henry booth there. And yeah, those are nice rifles.
9
nice
patents.
action.
9 different patents to make
In one action
on that new magazine fed 223 Henry lever gun. And I gotta be honest with you. I would get one. It's 223. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was 223, and they're gonna make 223. They're gonna make 300 blackout. They said would be the next caliber.
Oh, that's right.
And I can't remember if we asked them if they were going to do other small action calibers like Grendels and stuff like that or not. But
right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, first of all, I want to say, like, since Kyle is here listening with us, I want to say Kyle did a great job covering the lever guns for for the Canadian market. So if you guys are interested in like some more detailed information about most of the lever guns that were at SHOT, go to the Slamfire Radio channel and watch some of the reviews that he did there. Also, him and Adriel talked about the lever guns on their show on Thursday.
Right.
And Kyle covered it in pretty good detail. So I think we'll probably not overdo that because there's already good content from Kyle's pre-recorded and their talk about it already available to Canadians. So go check out Slamfire Radio for that stuff. But I will say, and I remember Kyle was talking with Adriel about this. I think Kyle got a little bit confused or wasn't sure what he was looking at, but there was 2 different AR receiver lever guns there. We've played around with one of them. I remember walking past one at the Bear Creek booth, and I can't remember the name of the booth. It was something like Prim 9 or something like that. They were only like 2 or 3 booths down from the Henry booth.
Right.
And they had an AR receiver lever gun, and oh my God, Bond Arms. Okay, Bond Arms. Okay,
I can't remember which was which.
Yeah, I can't remember either, but doesn't matter. It was absolute garbage. Hot.
It was not inspiring. Kyle says he liked the Bear Creek, so maybe it was the Bond Arms, but very small booth, very few products, and just their action, that whole lever assembly, like it was clunky as hell.
Yeah. The other stuff they did, it looked like they were doing like 9mm PCC AR style.
You're right.
Yeah. But then they had that lever gun. Sorry, carry on.
No, I was just saying that I don't know whether I didn't bother to ask. Maybe I should have, but I don't know whether the way the lever rested up against the grip or however you want to describe that.
Yeah.
But it was almost like it was a safety feature, like you couldn't pull the trigger without squeezing that lever into the grip,
which
it
is
just
not
seemed to
uncommon on a
hang.
lever gun.
Well, so there's the possibility, but
Yeah.
it just hung down below the grip line
Yeah.
until you actually intentionally gripped that sucker, and
Right.
it was, I don't know.
It was garbage. It was such garbage. And it had like a gear grinding on it about quarter of the way through cycling and halfway through cycling and
Right.
3/4 of the way through cycling. And then when it was fully open, it would kind of get stuck a little bit and you really had
Yeah,
to.
I noticed
I
that
remember
too.
I remember when the guy came up to us, he goes, "Go ahead, guys, you can play with it." He goes, just whip that sucker open and give it a try, see what it's
Right.
like. And I'm like,
Yeah.
well, no wonder he told us to whip it open, because if
'Cause
you
you
try to
gotta.
just run it smooth, you can't. It just hangs. But
Cycler hard, boys. Cycling like a man.
yeah, exactly. It actually hurt. I did it up near my middle knuckle the one time, and it actually hurt my knuckle doing it.
Aw.
I know. But shit. I don't know.
Okay, so I'm wondering, Kyle, did you get over to Smith and Wesson there? I know you were in the area. Like that was pretty much straight across from Loophole, I think.
I
Wasn't
remember
it?
him saying
But-
that he did, but he
Okay.
unfortunately had a number of interviews that he lost due to a equipment malfunction.
Right.
So I don't know if it was
Right.
if it made it onto the finals or not. But
Mm. The Smith was a nice looking piece, but it had some things about it too that weren't okay. So Kyle did.
Yeah.
Hopefully him and Ariel talked about it.
he no, they did. He seemed to like it. And I like
Your biggest big beef was the trigger, wasn't it?
it was because I realized after about the third time of playing with it, when the action is cocked, the trigger will just flop it back and forth, forward and back. And I remember talking to Kyle about it, and Kyle was saying like, oh, I didn't notice that. Like maybe it was just the one you got. And then we went back to the booth, and
Right.
one of the Smith guys came up to us, and he was asking like, do you guys have any questions? And I'm like, is the trigger supposed to do this? And I'm like flipping the trigger back and forth like it's a high school girlfriend. And and he was just let that pass, just carry on.
Yeah, little man in the canoe. Yeah.
Yeah. And he was like, yeah, no, it's supposed to do that. That's not a problem. And I'm like, okay, I guess it's not a problem, but it's like, I don't like it. No, sir, I don't like it. But I will say that the trigger broke really nice.
It did, yeah.
And other than the fact that it was floppy when it was cocked, boy. Other than that, I thought that the Smith did a good copy, and it was based off of Winchester's model.
It was a nice looking gun. The way it cycled, though, when you went to close that action, you know how a lot of bolts that hang up on the back of a mag follower, and you got to give it that extra little push over that. It was like that, but it didn't appear that it was attempting to ride over the back of a mag follower.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's fair.
Thing I picked up.
That's a fair comment. Yeah, I guess to wrap this up and move on, because we're never going to get on to everything else. But I think that if you guys want more comprehensive discussion on the levers, go check out Kyle and Adriel's discussion and Kyle's videos from the show. Other than that, if I were going to rate the lever guns that we saw, first of all, the custom ones aren't fair. All of the custom ones.
No, it's a different category.
And who was the it was an optics company, but they had a Mad Pig custom there too when we were playing with it.
I don't recall that.
It was right. There was an optics booth, and they had all their little red dots, and they were displaying one of their red dots on top of what is probably a Mad Pig Customs. And then it was in the same booth, kind of adjacent to that one dry fire system. Remember, it had the little red targets that you could get, the little digital targets that took the IR sensors on them. Do you remember what I'm talking about? It was just you and me. Jens was off gallivanting somewhere. You don't remember? That's okay. So anyway, not fair to compare the customs to the production guns, and maybe not even fair to compare like the Aero Precision one, the Stag one, and all of those, because they're meant to compete in one category. The production guns are really meant to compete in another category. So I will say, out of the production models that we saw, I still think Henry is number one. I think the only thing holding Henry back forever was no side loading gate, and they fixed that problem a few years ago. I still think their actions are the smoothest, and I still think that their triggers are like maybe not the best, but not noticeably worse than any other company. And I like that they're really innovating with larger caliber detachable box magazines. I think that's going to be really good for them in the future. They have a tube fed large caliber lever action already. But we were talking with the guy at Henry, and he was saying that in the next year or so, they will be using this new action, this one with the 9 patents that is smoother than their regular lever guns, like as insane as that sounds. And they're going to be bringing it out in 308, 65 Creedmoor, and other large calibers. Right. Do you remember that? And it will not be tube fed; it will be magazine fed, detachable magazine fed. Right. The only question is whether it'll be an AIS magazine or it'll be an AR-10 magazine. In the US, probably an AR-10 mag.
I thought he did say AR-10.
I would guess, yeah, if I had to guess. So I still think Henry is number one.
Yeah.
I think the new Ruger Marlin will be number 2.
I think they did a good job, yeah.
Despite the fact that they put a cross bolt safety on it, like the Rugers, like all Rugers. And all it does is stop the hammer from dropping all the way. That seems like you're flirting with danger to me.
That was funny talking to that guy, hey, when you pointed that out.
Yeah, he had no idea.
The safety, it still fires.
Yeah, I guess we should probably tell that story. So we're standing in front of one of the Ruger reps, and I pick up a new Marlin, and I cock the hammer. I put the gun on fire. I pull the trigger. Okay, cool. It's a nice trigger for a lever gun, right? I cock the hammer again. I put it on safe. I pull the trigger, and the hammer drops.
Hammer drops, yeah.
And I'm like, what the fuck? So I do it a couple of more times, and then I turn to the guy and I go, and I pull
the guy with lifeless eyes
he was 4. So bored. It was on Friday.
Oh man.
So I go to him and I go, okay, this is fire. This is safe, correct? And he goes, yeah. And I go, so this is safe, right? And he goes, yep. And I pull the trigger and the hammer clicks, and the look on his face, he was just like, oh, fuck.
Yeah. Was not prepared for that.
He just kind of stares at me for about 30 seconds with his jaw.
Nothing came out of his mouth, yeah.
And he goes, try that on one of the other ones. So we grab one of the other ones and does the exact same thing. And when I did it with the other one, I noticed that there was just this tiny little gap that the hammer wasn't closing all the way. So we actually informed the Ruger guy of how their safety works. So that was fun.
All it is a cross bolt that blocks the hammer from dropping that last quarter to 3/8 of an inch or something. So
yeah, super, super close. Okay, Kyle wants me to check my messenger.
Oh, I just sent a thumbnail for the episode that we did together with Kyle down in Vegas there.
Well, that means I have to
get that up.
I can get it up. I just have to. I can always get it up. I just have to log into.
You're on a roll tonight, man.
I'm not even meaning to be. This is.
Hey, before I forget, Scotty asked earlier if there were any new cartridges. I really didn't see any, except when we were in Henry's booth. Or was it Henry's or?
That wasn't Henry's. That was one of the other lever gun companies. Was it Arrow or Stag? It might have been Stag. The 450.
No.
Oh.
What the hell was it? It was a 360 or something goofy like that. and I asked about it. I can't remember. No, not the 6 Max. Yeah, 6 Max. That's been reading a little bit about that, or I had a couple of months ago. That seems just like a heavy effort in marketing and not really a whole lot more substance to that. 400 Legend, no. 360 Buckhammer, that's the one. And what the heck was that? Is that another play on a 3030 case? Something like that. I'd never heard of it.
Don't even know.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, how much more can they do with different cartridges that are relevant at all anymore?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. There seems to be so little difference between some of these cartridges. I'm interested in like actual neat shit, like stuffing a 338 projectile into a 6.5 Creedmoor case. I think that's.
I still think we should do the 8.6 Rooster.
I do not disagree. The only question is, what's the parent case going to be?
The 6.5 Rooster.
I think it should be a 30-06.
Oh. So 338.6.
What's slightly more case capacity than 6.5? Like 6.5 PRC? That's a little more than slightly. So
6.5 PRC. There's all the short action Ultra Mag cases. There's
do the 6.5. Yeah. Just do the 6.5 PRC case.
No.
Or even better, 308 has a no. 308 has a larger case capacity than 6.5.
You know where I think it's at right now?
What's that?
Because nobody's done it so far. A rimless, like a conventional, like you think of a 308 or a 30-06 or whatever, they're called rimless, right? Rim is same diameter as the start of the body. Straight walled. You can put your 338 bullet in there.
Dude, use like a 400 nitro.
Headspace on the case mouth. That's run it at 60,000 psi.
Even better, because I think you would have to neck it down. You would have to neck it down, but you take a 400 Nitro Express and just neck it down to 338. Or even better, take a 600 Nitro Express and neck it down to 308.
300 short mag neck to 6.5. Yeah, it's been done.
Yeah, it probably has, eh?
It has.
Yeah. Take a 33XC and neck it out to a 14.5.
I know. We could take a 300 Weatherby and neck it down to 6.5.
Oh, that sounds amazing. Amazing. It's also been done. Okay.
Yeah.
That's the thing. There's just so little out there that hasn't been done.
How about a 57 Snyder case? Now he's on it. Oh shit! I think Vernon just won the internet today.
Yeah, how about a neck down 5.7 Snyder? 57 Snyder. Love it. Okay, let's move on here. So let's talk about. We haven't done any. We haven't paid any of our bills yet. So let's pay our bills by talking about some of our sponsors that were at the show. So first of all, Apex Optics. 2 new binoculars and 2 new red dots. 2
new binoculars?
Yeah.
So there's the 15 power, 56 mil.
And the 8 power.
Oh, fuck, I missed that.
Yeah, we just weren't paying attention to it because we were so enamored by the 15 power.
Right.
But yeah, there's an 8 power and a 15 power binos. I think the 15 power, like this could just be me, but I maybe it's just because I wanted 15 power to begin with, and I ended up getting the 12 power. But I think when I was looking through the 15, it looked clearer than the 12.
Oh, really? Well,
and maybe it should. It's a much bigger set of binoculars, but
right.
But
Yeah.
I was really, really impressed with the 15 power binos. I thought they looked really, really
Mhm.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I like it.
And then obviously two red dots, the Atom and the Fusion. The Atom is what you would expect of an RMR red dot in terms of like the size and case shape and all of that. It had all the bells and whistles, the 100 million hour battery life,
Right.
auto off, shake to wake.
Yeah.
But as usual with Apex, this is kind of becoming their signature. The reticle is kind of the magic in it, and
Mhm.
it is a multi-select reticle, let's say.
Yeah. Which one of those two do you remember had like 5 different reticle settings
I
that you could
believe that
choose?
was the Fusion. I think it was the Fusion. The
Okay.
Fusion was a slightly
That's
bigger
kind of wild
housing,
to me. Mhm.
and it had more reticle selections, and they had, well, it was like they had a God, I can't remember the MOA ratings on any of the stuff, but they had your
Mhm.
typical dot. They had a massive ring. They had a dot and a triangle. They had a dot and ring, dot and triangle, dot alone, ring alone, triangle alone, or maybe not triangle alone, but as usual, a really good
Mhm.
reticle design in both of them. Plus, there's a housing that you can just with two little screws, you can put it on both of the reticles as kind of a weather shielding.
Both the units, you mean, not the reticles.
Or sorry, yeah, both of the
Yeah.
units. Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
does it fit on the Atom as well? For some reson, I was thinking it was just on
No,
the other one.
you should watch our video that we did with Carly, because I was holding the Fusion, she was holding the Atom, and we each had put a shield on it.
I know. Listen, I
Only
get
my,
enough of hearing you talk every week on this show. I can't do more.
the only difference is mine fell onto the ground and hers didn't. Okay, I want to pause just for a sec before we move on, because in the next quarter, Q2, I think they said we should be
Yeah.
seeing all those red dots and binos.
Mhm.
Give me a sec to open this, because okay, Kyle sent us the thumbnail he's going to use for our talk with him. For those who don't know, we did a pre-recorded chat with Kyle. What was it, Wednesday night or no, Thursday night? Thursday
That's right.
night?
Yeah. For
Yeah,
the
Thursday night.
CSSA thing, Wednesday. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. So we basically were on the Slamfire radio show. And it's going to be going up pretty soon. And Kyle, just during the show here, shared the thumbnail he's going to use, and I need to share it because it's hilarious.
It's good. Yeah.
It is typical of what you would expect from ballistically speaking being on someone else's
Right.
podcast. It's a train wreck. Oh, I love that. He did really good with that. So I like what he's titling it, air tags and
Yeah.
restraining orders, because we did speak about both of those things.
We did.
It was really good. I can't wait to watch that episode.
Yeah, it was good fun.
Yeah. So everybody will have to make sure that they tune in for that, because it'll be fun. So yeah, Apex doing all the things, kicking all the butts and bringing out all the things and taking names and chewing bubble gum, only they ran out of bubble gum.
And don't forget, for now, I think it's still limited run, isn't it? The Rival X with the 10 mil per turn turret,
Is it limited run?
elevation turret. That's what I thought in the beginning. I don't when they first released it.
I
I'm
don't
sure it was.
know if it is limited run or not. I here's the thing. Here's what I'll guarantee you, without having any inside information. I guarantee you, if it's selling well, they'll just keep bringing it in.
Well, that seems like a smart idea. Yes.
Yeah. And well, Vanya's
More
still
X
listening
are
to us. So
coming.
how's that birthday party going, Vanya?
Right.
Uh,
Honeymoon's over.
yeah, honeymoon's over.
I'm out in the garage listening to the BS podcast.
Look, I barbecued her a steak. I got her a birthday
That's
cake.
it.
Now
What more
we're in
does she
bed.
want?
We're in bed watching the Ballistically Speaking podcast. That's awesome.
Too funny.
So yeah, the X Vanya says more are coming. So if you didn't
Excellent.
get any in the first run, I'm talking to all these guys that shoot PRS.
Mhm.
I did not know, because I remember when they announced it. Oh, we're going to do the Rival X. It's a 10 turn turret instead of a 15 turn turret. And I was like, all right,
Right.
wake me up when you bring something out that I understand. But talking to all these PRS guys, they're like, yeah, I'm so glad they brought this out. Like this
Yeah.
thing is the thing. This is my thing. It's like, okay, I didn't get it, but the problem is asking any word about Apex spotting scopes. As usual, Vanya plays his cards pretty
He's
close
coy.
to the chest. Yeah, I would say that we have access. I would consider Vanya and Carly friends. I would never tell that to their face. I hope Vanya is already logged off, but even as friends of Vanya and Carly, we don't get that information. We just don't. He likes surprising, both of them like surprising us as much as they like surprising the rest of the audience. But I will say this, in 3 years, they've gone from one SKU to, what was Carly saying? Like 13 if you include accessories.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but
And that's in like 3 years. So if they don't have a spotting scope in the next 2 years, I will eat my shoe.
yeah. So they like to keep us in suspense, right?
Yeah.
I think their secret policy is, we'll sell you the whole seat, but you'll only need the edge. Get it? The edge.
No, the
I
edge
know.
LPVO.
That's all I have. It's been a long goddamn day.
100% get it. Bending. Vanya says it's 13 without accessories. So you notice how he didn't answer the question of whether they're bringing out a spotting scope.
He was conveniently in the bathroom.
He's so predictable. Bending is asking, where's Apex manufactured? Right now, all Apex optics products are manufactured in Japan. So they're pretty they're pretty in tight with the high quality glass Japan crowd. I don't know why I pronounced it Japan, but carrying on.
Flair.
Yeah. So obviously Odell Engineering wasn't there, but Odell Engineering was representing at the Bragera booth. So why don't you go through what Bragera had?
Oh my God. Okay, so the ones that kind of spoke.
If you need a cheat list, you wrote it down.
Yeah, thanks. I just got there.
Okay, good. Okay.
I had a mini mall seizure. It's okay. I'm good.
I understand.
So they brought out a little chassis rifle, and it is little. It's the MG Micro Light rifle, and it's man, is it ever light? And it's on the Premier Action. That is a very nice action for a factory rifle. Kind of excited about that. What the heck was it? It was 6 pounds, 6.1 pounds or something, wasn't it?
No, it was. I thought it was less. Their synthetic stock one with the carbon barrel was 6.1 pounds.
Okay, and that was the B14 Crest Carbon. Same kind of idea, but the B14 action rather than the Premier Action.
Yeah,
and man, that one lifted and fit and swung really nicely. You know what? And they're putting 7 PRCs out this year as well on a lot of their rifles. And then there's that B14 Stoke, which was just a nice, short, handy rifle. Very, very nice rifles this year, and of course they've got their competition series. I can't remember what they called it, but it was basically the premiere with a heavier barrel in an MPA chassis. That one was quite nice. Yanzi can't wait for my prototype.
This prototype spotting scope from Apex.
I'm not sure.
Does that
So,
mean that Jens is going to use an Apex product if they bring out a spotting scope?
Well, see, I think he's softening up a little bit, that old German.
I know he's softening up. He wants several of their products bad. He's just he's trying to keep up appearances right now.
I know. I just about had to put a leash on that bugger though at Shotshow, because inevitably he would just creep on back to the Schmidt and Bender booth, same as last year. I had to put a harness and one of those retractable leashes on him. Eh?
Yeah. Just put one of the electric shock collars on him.
And that son of a bitch, every time we'd get close, like even in the area, like a quarter mile away, he'd look at me and go, "You smell that?" I'm like, "No." And he got me every time. Schmidt and Bender.
Jesus. That's ridiculous.
Okay, so
yeah.
Just backing up a bit, Bending asked, well, he said we need a first focal plane LPVO, in my opinion.
That's what Apex Edge is.
That's it.
Yeah.
You're in luck.
Yeah. The Apex Edge is
Get on the website, 10. Damn it.
Yeah, 1 to 10, first focal plane LPVO.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There you go. Put that one
to
bed.
There you go. So several neat things from Bergara, and we saw the MG light the last couple of years in a row at Bergara's booth. But the MG micro light being even lighter.
Right.
It's a neat little thing. I don't think I would do the MG micro light as a full length rifle though. I would do it in as short a barrel as possible with a collapsible stock. Just make a little backpack gun out of it. In something,
it folds, doesn't it, on the micro light? The MG.
Oh, it does. Yeah, you're right. It does
fold.
fold. You're right. It is a fold.
That is very deserving of a truck.
Yeah, but you know what would be really neat for that? 8.6 blackout with an 8-inch 1-in-1 twist barrel. There's your little thumper.
Well, yeah, I suppose, but I always kind of think, bouncing around on back roads in the truck out at the farm, coyotes are your kind of main adversary around there. I think a 223 Ackley would be nice. I believe it does come stock as a 22-250. That appeals to me in a little truck gun like that, honestly, depending on the twist rate they put on it. But.
Sorry, which caliber?
22-250.
22-250. Okay.
Yeah.
Too small.
Yeah. All right.
I don't know why I've always been drawn to the large caliber, slow moving projectiles. 2 world wars. I'm that guy.
Then you have to have a Mad Pig Customs 4570 beside you truck as well.
I would.
So
I absolutely
you got the
would.
little guy for just about everything, and then you've got the Mad Pig lever 4570 for extra fuck you.
I remember somebody asking the same question about the MG light. Mike Heineck is saying, don't you need a special fire extinguisher to put out the MG light if it catches on fire? So let's understand that
it's probably a magnesium chassis.
Well, it is a magnesium chassis, but it is a magnesium alloy.
Oh.
it's not going to catch fire. It just won't. It's like nobody's making guns that will react with oxygen in the atmosphere. It's just not going to happen. The explosion is confined to the chamber like every other rifle. We had that discussion with Steve, one of the ups from Bergera, like 2 years ago, and I remember we asked him, and he was like, he just rolled his eyes, and he's like, it doesn't work that way, guys. It's a metal alloy. It's like
just take this rock and strike it against the mag well.
Exactly.
Start a fire. Yeah.
He's like, it's the same principle as if you release hydrogen gas into the air, it will react with the oxygen and combust. But water doesn't combust. It's like the same principle.
Right. Oh shit.
So
yeah. Who else we got? EM Precision. They were there. Shane and Steve were both there.
Yeah, we were touring around with them,
shaking babies and kissing hands.
Yeah. So the cool thing about EM is, obviously they only serve the Canadian market. There's no reason for them to go as a exhibitor for Shotshow. So what they do is they go to Shotshow and they are looking for like new action makers and barrels and so they're trying to up their game in the Canadian market by using Shotshow as an R&D platform, essentially.
Right. Yep. Making connections with current suppliers as well. They have a fairly well-established relationship with cutting-edge bullets down there. So,
yep,
yep. Things
exactly
like that.
Yep. So cool. Now March Scopes was there. March Scopes Canada was representing. Doug was representing for them at their booth. They have a neat idea. They took a Highmaster optic and they integrated the rails into the optic. And I don't know if it's going to work out for them, but it's a neat idea.
Yeah.
And Shane's saying they found a cool new action that they'll be bringing in. I think we know what that is, but we won't spoil it for them.
We do. Yeah.
We'd let them announce it. But very cool for them. What did you think about the Highmaster with the integrated rail?
I like it. I mean, I don't know. Conventional mounting seems to be more than adequate, I think, for most uses. And we do have some good rings, really good rings on mounting solutions on the market. Now, an integrated mounting system, it eliminates the need to get real precise. How conventional rings, you gotta mount your scope straight, so your reticle's straight. That can be problematic, especially with longer distance shooting. But so this supposedly eliminates it. Well, it does eliminate it, at least according to what you're mounting it to. Now, there's no guarantee that your rail screwed to the top of your action is actually straight. But I think those days, for the most part, are behind us. Where manufacturers make crooked actions and things like that. I mean, you're not going to put a marked scope on a shitty old action, I don't imagine. So I don't know. It's a novel idea. Sure, it has some practical aspects to it. However, because you can't machine the scope, tube, body, whatever, conventionally, like with a conventional scope, you just turn it to the diameters that you need. Now, because they've integrated that mount on the bottom, they have to mill a whole bunch more. So there's a lot more time and an extra step for that. So now you've got to consider that's costly for them. That typically gets passed on onto the consumer.
Yeah.
And if it's the same, it is essentially a Highmaster. A Highmaster features and design other than the scope body.
It'll be
So,
interesting to see. You're talking about the logistics. It'll be interesting to see if they can pull it off logistically.
mhm.
Although my first thought with it was when they said it was on a high master, my first thought was, wouldn't this be better on like an entry level optic? Because high end optic users, they're probably just going to buy the rings anyway, whether it comes with it or not. If you're making two models and
Yeah.
the ring, one model comes with rings, one model has integrated rings, I would expect most precision shooters are going to buy the one and get their own rings anyway.
I don't know. You never know how these things go. The the precision shooters market is pretty pretty fickle, I guess.
Mm.
If they see anything as an advantage or something that's really cool that most other people don't have, they'll justify something like that, and
That's
maybe
what I'm
enough
thinking, though.
people will see. Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I can't see that being a competition advantage. I see it
no,
being easier to mount, easier to zero, easy,
oh for
easy,
sure,
easy. I don't
slap
see
it.
it being more, and that's why I say like on an entry level optic, like it'd be something like if Vortex were to do the same thing, I would expect to see it on like a Crossfire 2,
Yeah, I don't know.
so
I'm no marketing
um,
genius.
no marketing genius. Zach Schwingerschlegel. We hung out with Zach for most of a day, actually. Was it day 2?
Hmm.
Yeah, it was fun seeing Zach. It was great seeing him again.
Yeah, it's good hanging around with them.
The only problem is he gets lost in the crowd. He's such a tiny little man.
Right? Yeah, yeah. Just about got to put a leash on them. Same with Jens.
I had to introduce Zach. I had to introduce Zach to Ava Flanell. He didn't know who Ava Flanell was. I had to introduce all of you to Ava Flanell, and that hurts my heart.
Man,
Anyway, Mike was asking if we saw any neat precision rimfire stuff. I
we
want
were
to
not
talk.
permitted to look at any
That's not
rimfire
true.
stuff.
That's not true.
We had Jens with us. He did make one exception. Yeah.
Yeah, and I do want to talk about it, but I wanted to get through the rest of our obligations first. So
Yeah.
obviously, call sign 66 Bolt Action Coffee. They were not at the show. Cappy was there. Miles was there, and Cappy was there last year. They weren't, as far as we know, this year. But I mean, that doesn't change anything because you can still get specialty coffee from Bolt Action Coffee, and call sign 66 is still Canada's best shooting training that you can get. So
Indeed
go
they
see
are.
them both, boltactioncoffee.com and call sign 66.ca. Ribstone obviously was not there, Ribstone Gunsmithing, but if you want to breathe life back into any firearm, go see Oscar, ribstonegunsmithing.ca.
Mhm. And the Shooting Edge, the
We
home of
saw
the
JR.
Sterling Arms R18 indoor range training course. Hey, we saw JR. Yeah, yeah. Am I cut?
Yeah. Yeah, you are cutting out now. Yeah.
Are you there?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I got you.
yeah, camp internet again.
Yeah,
Anyways, yeah, we saw JR, hung around with him a little bit, got an interview with him and Phil at the
and
Brigade
I've
booth.
been too lazy to put the interview up, so I'll get that done pretty quick and put that up because it needs some editing, but it was a very fun interview. So I guess we can get back to the question that Mike asked, right?
Right, I'm just reading the comments. Shane was saying he didn't look at any rimfire stuff, and Jens says he's lying. Even wore a rimfire shirt at Shot.
Yes, he did, and I pointed it out relentlessly.
So comfy.
It's so comfy.
It was still a medium though.
So here, what we saw for rimfire. Now, this is not specifically like a PRS rimfire rifle. In fact, it's not a PRS rimfire rifle. What this is a 22 rifle from a very well-known precision handgun and air gun, really Olympic rifle and handgun company, and that is Hammerly. And I'm familiar with Hammerly because my dad shot Olympic pistol in like the 60s and 70s, and he had his Olympic pistol was a Hammerly. So they're very well known in the small caliber and air pistol and rifle world. And they have a release. It was called the B1, I think they're calling it, the Hammerly B1.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah.
It is a straight pull, 22 caliber, quick swap, caliber change rifle.
Barrel change. Yeah.
So it has a barrel on it that it looks identical to like a natural gas quick connect.
Yeah.
What would you call that quick connect style? Where you just pull the collar back?
Yeah, it's similar to like just a hydraulic coupling, right? And same thing with what you're talking about, whether it's an air coupling or a natural gas coupling. Or
yeah,
there's several different styles, but you pull the collar back and it's got the detent balls in there. You pull the collar back, it releases those, or allows those balls to come out, and you can pull it over the rim or whatever you want to call it, machine
fitting itself. Yeah,
it's just a mounting thing. But what kind of gets me about that is that all of those coupler types that I just talked about are not tight.
See,
so
and
I'm
that was my
how
first
they
thought.
achieve that.
Yeah, because that's the thing. When I first looked at that, I'm like, that's like a natural gas quick coupler. There's no way that you're making an accurate rifle out of that. But at the same time, it's Hammerly.
Mm-hmm.
So
now the only thing I can think of, Chris, where that whole mechanism works on the OD of the barrel where they've machined it, the further to the rear, like chamber end, it did appear to me to be extended quite far.
It was a good like 2 to 2.5 inches.
Right. I'm thinking that is a slide fit into the receiver, and then somehow, and then by the time it seats home in that receiver, then that coupler comes along and just pulls it, secures it in that location. Well, that's the only thing I can see.
You could very well be right. The interesting thing about the fact that it's a hot swappable barrel like that is that it is intended to be released both in 22 and 22 Magnum.
Right. And the mag, he was explaining to you, go ahead with that.
Yeah. So they are using Ruger 1022 magazines, which I thought was a smart idea. They're probably the most reliable 22 rifle magazine out there, the rotary style. There's a billion of them, and so for the 22 caliber, it is just a Ruger 1022 magazine with a little extender on the end of the magazine, because the magazine,
that was on the back end too, wasn't it?
Correct. Yep.
Right.
And they did that because the magazine well is designed for a 22 Magnum magazine. So they said that it will come with 3 Ruger magazines with those extenders on them, which is great. So you don't even have to worry about the extenders because you're getting 3 new magazines with that rifle. And you can imagine with a hydraulic quick connect for the barrel, you just buy the second barrel, you can put it in the same gun bag, you can put it in the same backpack, whatever the hell you want. And just with different magazines, you can like that. That's a quick caliber change, a very quick caliber change. And if it maintains the reputation of Hammerly as a, an accuracy producing firearms manufacturer, I think it'll be really cool. Comes with a synthetic stock, adjustable cheek riser, and the stock, it was very well thought out. It wasn't just like your bullshit typical like molded synthetic stock. Hey, we make this in China for $5 per thousand. And they really fit like garbage, and you just can't wait until somebody comes out with an aftermarket stock. I thought that the stock fit very well.
It was adjustable length of pull too, wasn't it?
I think it was. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah,
I believe so. Yeah.
And the straight pull was a really neat idea. And it seemed to, at least just, manually cycling it seemed really good. It clicks very positively forward. It took a little bit of getting used to when I shot it, because I was trying to like blast it quick using the middle finger for the trigger. And I was just trying to run it back and forth, and I didn't get the positive click on the thumb and tried to fire it.
We would have had some action video of that, but I didn't realize the phone was set to photo rather than video.
No, that wasn't it. You had it turned on, and then you tried to turn it on again, and you ended up turning the video off.
Oh, whatever. I messed it up anyway.
That's okay. But yeah, it was really neat. Yeah, it was quite neat. As long as it's accurate, I think it'll be a freaking winner, an absolute winner. Oh, and it also takes Ruger BX trigger packs.
Oh, that's right too. I forgot about that. Yeah.
So if you're using like factory, it probably comes with what is equivalent to like a factory Ruger trigger. But if you get the upgraded Ruger trigger, or if you're putting like everything from like the factory Ruger trigger up to like a tandem cross Manticore, it'll take whatever you want to put in it.
Right. I think that was a smart play on their part.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah. The magazine and the trigger together, you mean?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And man, if they get the accuracy out of those barrels, genius. Genius.
I worry about you sometimes. You get a little too excited about rimfire. I can support your
if somebody was able to copy that with centerfire, I'd be all over that too. But everybody's like, oh, quick change barrel. But quick change barrel means you got to unscrew the thing. You need a tool to get it started, and you're undoing the threads for 15 hours because there's so much threads on it. Like, really? Quick connect means quick connect, motherfucker. So this is
not a gas hose; it's a lead hose.
It's a lead hose. Yeah. So there you go. The ATA ASR that Epic Arms did a video on looks neat. I have not seen that, and we didn't see it at that booth either. I'll have to look it up.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I remember something about it, but I'm just not picturing it in my mind brain right now. I gotta go watch Alex's video.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about the ridiculous elephant in the room. That was Cadex Defense's new rifle. You go ahead, because I don't even care.
Oh yeah, you had your moment of glory with your rimfire.
That's right.
Well, I got to get some pictures up. I guess I did throw one up on my Twisted Rooster account on Instagram, I guess. But the size of that 12.5 by 114 round that they built that rifle around, holy crap! And the bolt, the bolt body, I swear, it's got to be 8 inches.
Oh yeah,
it's insane.
Yeah,
and it's got to be.
It was 1 3/4 inch diameter bolt.
No, it's closer to 1 3/8. It's 1.3 or
1 3/8. I thought it was 1 3/4. Okay.
Yeah, something like that.
The,
but it is a monster. It's a 4 lug bolt.
Oh, did you say 12.5?
Yeah, I think I did. 12.5 by 114.
They're correcting us. It is 14.
14.5. Sorry, guys. Yeah. It's effing big anyway. And I just can't remember sort of the specs on that round. God, what was it, Yancy? Like an 1100 grain bullet, I think.
That sounds something like that, man.
1AB, that thing will be banned. Yeah, I think.
Oh, it won't even. That's why I didn't care
It's not
about
for
it.
the civilian market. No.
Well, number one, it wasn't for the civilian market. Number two, even if it was, we can't have it in this country anyway.
No. It's a big sucker. I think I think they had two versions of ammunition there. One was an 1100 grain bullet at, God, I want to say 3,100 feet per second. Yeah. And then I think there was a lighter one somewhere around 3,300.
And wasn't it the heavier one had a hybrid case, and it was something like 38,000 joules at the muzzle?
So, okay, I don't know. I saw the poster there that it was a two-piece case or whatever. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right, Mike. Because fuck you and your engine block from 4 miles away. Yeah.
Fuck you, your engine block, the concrete wall behind your car,
right.
The 3 cars that are lined up in the parking garage.
Yeah. So, what else? Oh, it's a 40-inch barrel on that thing. It's a monster, and it looks odd. Because you've got this big old action and big long barrel, and the diameter on that barrel is something wild too. It's got to be probably I would say probably 1.6 diameter at the chamber, and but something that was and the stock, the rear stock was conventionally sized. So you got this monster out in front of this what looks like a tiny little stock. Now the chassis, and I this is a bit of a criticism. In a rifle like that, it's a single purpose rifle, really, in my mind.
Yeah.
But the chassis that they built for it, they didn't make a long forend on it. And it looks kind of what's definitely not a proportional looking thing. But I think they should have really made a much longer forend for that thing. Maybe there you go.
Now Kyle's not.
Maybe they intend to use it with a bipod extender.
Yeah,
but can you
you can see how
zoom in on that one at all?
Oh, that is actually zoomed. That's why it's so grainy.
Okay, yeah. and then you put it in the hands of a little guy like
Kyle's 5'6".
Well, I'd give him 5'7", 8", something
5,
like
7,
that.
8. Okay.
Yeah.
But he's probably 130 pounds, maybe 125, 130 pounds.
I'd give him a little more, but yeah.
You're just being nice. You're being nice.
He's not a wildly physically intimidating guy. Anyway.
Yeah, so it looks bigger in his hands, but
yeah.
Here's why I like this photo.
That is a monster, though.
Yeah. Aside from the fact that rifle is taller than Kyle is.
Yeah.
Aside from that, you can see Alex from Epic Arms in the background.
Right. Oh, yeah.
And you can see Blaine Calkins, Red Deer MP, on the right in the background. And Blaine is obviously enjoying the juxtaposition of the rifle and Kyle as much as we are.
But do you see what I'm saying about the length of that thing?
Oh, it's massive. Yeah.
No, but I mean the forend length on that chassis.
Oh, sorry. Kyle
seems to me like they missed something there. What's that?
Kyle's taking.
Kyle
is 5'8". This is okay.
A bunch of dicks.
In my defense, I am not a good judge of height.
Well, right, you're looking down on everybody.
I have a very poor angle of perspective when I'm looking at height. Did not mean to insult Kyle. No. and yes, but it is designed as an anti-material rifle for the military. Yeah. So
I wonder what MSRP on that sucker's worth.
to the military, 27,000 a unit.
You're right. Yeah. That's not fully kitted either.
Exactly. Okay, so we have one more or two more things at SHOT Show to talk about. One of them is Pristine Guns. Why don't you talk about that?
I really don't have a lot to say. I mean, they're as far as I could tell, their action has remained unchanged from last year. I think they released it last year. But they are planning to come out with a long action, and I believe I know a long action Magnum. So we stopped by their booth or their slot out at Range Day, and the young guy from, I think it was Arkansas that I was talking to, he plans to run the long action Magnum Pristine action on his ELR rifle this year. So he has a lot of confidence in it. Derek Streeter, oh my God, where's my brain? I can't remember the name of his YouTube channel. But anyway, he was there helping out at the booth. Had a good conversation with him. I don't have a whole lot to say. I mean, we had him on the show a little while ago. Their action's kind of neat. I wish them a lot of luck with doing what they're trying to do. It was kind of neat. They had Carey Price at their booth. They have this little soiree or whatever that
they gave him a custom
right.
Sorry, I totally ruined that for you. I don't know why I'm talking over you.
That's all right. Yeah. So what is that, a 6-lug design on that rifle?
I think so.
Kind of a neat concept. I don't know. Look into it if you like. I suppose I don't have a lot to say about.
So other than that, it's the one that everybody loves to jaw jack about lately. LabRadar and Garmin. LabRadar
that was a good a good discussion with Guy at LabRadar. He's a super nice guy, that guy.
Yeah, it was a good discussion, and it's interesting. So, I mean, for anybody who is living under a rock, LabRadar pioneered the Doppler radar chronograph. I think it was like 8 years ago now. It was like 2016. And it took the world by storm. And it was like, man, you need to get a LabRadar. If you're using a conventional, like a magnetospeed or something like that, you need to get a LabRadar. And, I would say in the last year or so is all that I've heard people complaining about them. And the complaints have started to become like, well, the software is antiquated. It's a little bit difficult to get around the app. A lot of that I've never, like, the syncing between the app and the unit itself. I agree, it needs an upgrade because it's 8-year-old technology, and they were working with Bluetooth like 2.5 8 years ago, and we're on Bluetooth 4.1 right now or something like that. So yeah, absolutely, it needs an upgrade. And did LabRadar wait too long for that upgrade? I think so. But apparently for the last year and a half, they've been R&Ding a new model. Well, Garmin, no surprise, beat them to the punch. Garmin, first of all, I think a lot of people forget Garmin is a multi-billion dollar company. People think that Garmin is like little antiquated GPS units. No, Garmin is a multi-billion dollar aeronautics company. If you're buying a private plane, your odds are very high that the navigation suite in that plane, like especially if you're talking like turboprop planes and stuff like that, the odds are extremely high that Garmin makes the navigation suite in that airplane. They are a massive and diversified company. So it's no surprise that they were able to beat LabRadar to the punch when they decided that they wanted to get into the gun field. And they brought out the Zero. Everybody knows that. Now LabRadar, a couple of months later at SHOT Show, has announced that they have a smaller, it's a little cube rather than a, Garmin kind of went with the typical rectangle flat shape. LabRadar has chosen to go with a bit of a cube shape. But it's slightly bigger than the Garmin's. It's slightly heavier than Garmin's. There are two reasons for that.
I would say it's substantially heavier than the Garmin. The Garmin is super
Fair
light.
point. Yeah.
I'm a little bit concerned about it, to be honest. But yeah, the LabRadar has some weight to it, and you're about to explain the aluminum housing.
Well, not just that, but it has twice the battery capacity. It has twice the size of lithium-ion battery, and they account for weight. So the reality is, at the end of the day, the Garmin has a 6-hour battery. The LabRadar has a 12-hour battery. That takes up space and it takes up weight. Now, is 6 hours enough? Probably. Another difference between them is you can charge the LabRadar while it's in use. You cannot do that with the Garmin. So it actually would have made more sense. Garmin had the 12-hour battery and LabRadar had the 6-hour battery. But whatever, it is what it is. So that accounts for some size, some weight. And LabRadar is using an aluminum housing, like you mentioned, which perhaps assists with durability, real world durability. I mean, anybody who's chucking around their chronograph deserves to get it broken anyways.
It's probably me. Not intentionally. I'm just a club-handed fucker.
But from what I've been hearing is that, if you just accidentally drop the Garmin, it's really not having any problems.
Yeah.
And if you drop the LabRadar with an aluminum housing, I would expect it to not have any problems.
Yeah.
Right.
Spudman, do you want to address that?
Well, I don't know about changing the battery. I think both of them are internal batteries. The big difference that we found out is that they did not put a charging module in the Garmin that is active when the power is on the Garmin unit. So the LabRadar does have a charging module that is capable of that. So you can, just like with the original Garmin, you can plug in an external battery to it and have fucking days worth of battery if you want to.
LabRadar, you mean?
LabRadar, you can. You cannot do that with Garmin. If you're at an all-day match and you want a chrono, you better be turning your power on and off in between stages.
Oh, Mike Hynek is saying that apparently Garmin is not going to warranty units that are mounted to rifles. I hadn't heard that yet. You can mount both units to the rifle.
Yes.
That's interesting.
Garmin was not going to warranty units mounted to rifles. That's interesting. So, well, I mean, that's the thing is that's several points in my opinion, because the price is very similar. That is several points in favor of LabRadar for me. Is it a little heavier? Is it a little bigger? Yeah. Is it functionally heavier and bigger to the point that it's going to be a detriment? No. Look at what we're used to using.
Yeah.
Whether it's it's going to be lighter than any magneto speed that attaches directly to your fucking barrel.
Easy.
I mean, come on. Let's be real about this.
Do you want to explain what do I want to see the pickup? The differences between the two units.
So we got a bit of a scientific education in this, and I'm not going to pretend to understand all of it, but it has something to do with the frequency at which the Doppler radar operates. The original Doppler radar operated at a frequency that gave it a very, very narrow bandwidth. And that narrow bandwidth allowed it to carry for long distances. And that's why the original lab radar actually tracked your bullet out to 100 meters.
Mhm.
And then you could do mathematical extrapolation after 100 meters, but you were getting real readings out to 100 meters. The flip side to that is with a narrow bandwidth, it's more difficult to align your barrel and therefore your bullet trajectory within the narrow bandwidth of the original lab radar.
And that's where a lot of guys were having trouble with missed shots.
And that's where people were having trouble with missed shots. And I've had trouble with that. I have an original lab radar. I mean, you have to be very careful with your alignment. That is absolutely true. But again, the trade-off there is you get real Doppler readings out to 100 meters. The Garmin operates at a much wider bandwidth in terms of its frequency. And that's why everybody's like, oh, it picks up my shots like nothing.
Never misses a shot. Yeah.
Never misses a shot. And you would expect that with a wider bandwidth.
Mhm.
The trade-off is, depending on the size of your projectile, it will only the radar will only read out to between 15 and 25 meters.
Right.
Depending
The rest
on the
is
size of your
extrapolated.
projectile.
Yeah.
The rest is mathematically extrapolated. Now, the Garmin unit, from what I'm told, gives you readings out to 100 meters, just like the lab radar does.
Mhm.
And in that sense, Garmin, big surprise, multi-billion-dollar multinational company, is kind of misrepresenting to people because they're making people think that they're getting the same readings that they got from the original lab radar. And they're not. The Garmin is only reading between 15 and 25 meters, depending on the size of your projectile. It is mathematically extrapolating and showing you on the screen out to 100 meters.
Mhm.
And I don't think a lot of people understand that. Now, go to the new Lab Radar LX. It is operating identically to the Garmin on the exact same bandwidth and frequency as the Garmin.
Mhm.
And so it is only actually reading to between 15 and 25 meters, the same way that
I
the Garmin
thought,
is.
sorry to interrupt, but I thought Guy was saying that they're a little bit longer, like 40 yards, but they still do the rest. They would still have to extrapolate. I thought
Nope.
theirs was only slightly different.
Nope. No, he was, he wouldn't do this on camera, but off camera, he was very clear that their Doppler system in the new LX is operating with the exact same bandwidth and frequency as the Garmin unit.
Okay.
And again, I'm spilling beans a little bit. I hope that, you know, if Guy ever watches our episode, he wouldn't get pissed off at me. But he was saying off the record, I don't know if I can even say it, like, ethically. If
You know what? Maybe not.
Yeah. So let's put it this way. He had no qualms about the fact of saying that their new unit is running with the exact same bandwidth and frequency as the Garmin. How that happened, maybe it was coincidental, maybe it wasn't. On Garmin's part. But regardless, twice the battery capacity, aluminum housing, slightly bigger unit,
Mhm.
exactly the same function, around the same price. So there's a couple of pros in the Lab Radar category. There's a couple of pros in the Garmin category.
Mhm.
For me, it comes down to which company do I want to support?
Yeah.
And the reality for me right now is that if Garmin doesn't get my money on this, when I win the lottery, I'm still going to buy a turboprop and they'll get my business then. Okay. I don't
I
think
just
they're
want
going
to
to
back
miss
up a
it.
little bit
Yeah.
And sort of touch again on the readings, the distance at which any of those units read out to, whether it's 15, 25, or 100 yards. I don't care. It's funny how people get bent out of shape a little bit about some of these specs, I guess, because thousands of people are perfectly happy with their what's the one that mounts on the muzzle?
The magnetospeed.
Magnetospeed, thank you.
Yeah.
And it has 1 point of measurement.
That's right, only at the muzzle.
Same with every chronograph available to the civilian market since ever.
Yeah, even if you pick up a Caldwell.
Point of measurement. Right.
That's right. It gives you the measurement at the distance that you put it.
Right.
And the further out you put it at 100 meters, you're taking a really good chance that you're going to shoot your chronograph.
Well, it's true, but so I find it kind of funny when people squawk about things like that, and we've heard it. It doesn't give as many data points as whatever, right? Fuck off. How many data points do you need along a path to 100 meters or whatever, right?
Yeah, and that's a fair point.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an absolutely fair point. I know that my lab radar actually reads out to 100. I've never cared about that, to be perfectly honest with you, because physics is relatively a constant, and as long as you're accounting for all of the variables in physics, you can pretty reliably do mathematical extrapolation.
Yep.
So that's a very fair point. So again, for me, it comes down to which company do I want to support, because both units are very close to identical. There's a couple of differences with LabRadar, couple of differences with Garmin, and I'm willing to bet that they're both absolutely fantastic. For me, Canadian manufacturing in our day and age is rare. Good Canadian manufacturing is even more rare. And the reality is LabRadar did take the world by storm 8 years ago. And everybody keeps comparing the first gen LabRadar to the new Garmin. I'm like, guys, like, give your heads a shake. Whether you like one or whether you like the other, you have to compare the apples with the apples. You cannot compare 8-year-old technology. Do you remember what your fucking laptop looked like 8 years ago? Let alone
do you hear people saying, "Oh, fucking Dell betrayed me"?
Exactly. Yeah. My Dell with my Pentium PC processor has betrayed me compared to my new, new Asus or my new Lenovo, whatever. Just think of what your cell phone was 8 years ago. It's 8-year-old technology. Yes, it is antiquated.
Yet people hang on to their shitty old fucking iPhones and keep going back.
That's fair. That's fair.
Talk about betrayal.
Now, here's the thing. The LabRadar, the original LabRadar, according to Guy, they're keeping it on the market. Yeah. Because there are people who want an actual read out to 100 meters. And they will be updating the firmware and the software, and therefore the user experience on that unit.
Yep.
So overdue? Yes. I don't think anybody in that sort of technology space can go 8 years between firmware upgrades. And I think that's a lesson LabRadar needs to learn. And if they lose several $100,000 in sales to Garmin to learn that lesson, I hope that they do learn it.
He acknowledged that, though, didn't he?
He did. He said that people have been asking for it, and we are working on it, and there will be an upgrade for it. And they will be upgrading the app. Right now, the new LX works on the existing app. They're going to be updating the app because I think that they recognize they need to upgrade on the software and firmware end.
Yeah.
So cool. Fair enough.
Wildly expensive to do that, to upgrade that app.
Well, and again, they're competing against a multi-billion-dollar a year company. Yeah. And I have some I have some empathy for that. That's just me personally.
For sure. The problem says, I'm not surprised that Garmin will not guarantee units attached to a rifle with lightweight recoil and large calibers may impact or damage internal electronics. I would also worry about accuracy. Well, time will tell, right? And I had that exact conversation with a guy that we know, and I mean, I think he drank the Kool-Aid a little bit, and oh no, that's not going to happen. Well, I said, well, how do you know? Because I had it on my match rifle for X rounds or whatever, and it hasn't happened yet. So that's pretty weak data to me. But only time will tell. So I don't want to condemn anybody for anything just yet with unproven data. But it's exactly what I thought too for such a light unit. I have worries about robustness, I guess. So,
wouldn't that be interesting if we find out 6 months from now that the lab radar is perfectly fine attached to a high caliber rifle, and the Garmin you need to put on a little stand? I think right now Garmin is riding the wave of luxury that they released theirs first, because the reality is, if you compare it to the first generation lab radar, it is incredible. It is amazing. But when we put it in context, we're comparing 8-year-old technology, and more than that, because they started designing this technology probably 9 or 10 years ago, and you're comparing it to brand new 2024 technology.
What was that other radar, chronograph, whatever? Just a small little unit like those scope mounted cameras and that Steve had a couple, and they both shit the bed, but they were the biggest thing there for a couple of weeks.
Are you talking about Shot Marker?
Well, that's what I wanted to say, but that doesn't sound right. Shot Marker.
Well, that's the one where you have the little like repeater units, right?
Oh no, sorry. Shot Marker's another Canadian company. But right. they've got little boxes or whatever that you place downrange. Damn it. Anyway,
I don't know what you're talking about.
Not Shot Tracker. Thank you, Jens. Bullet
Tracker,
Seeker,
okay.
Shot Tracker, and the ones that I've Speed Tracker, Shot Tracker, Bullet Tracker, whatever, Ass Tracker. Thank you for bailing me out of that. But everyone that I've known personally has shit the bed. But it was kind of revolutionary too in terms of the size, ease of use, and mounting options and that.
Well, and I think that's what people want right now.
Well, it's super novel because you think of the evolution of chronographs that we've had till now. And they're standalone kind of clunky units. And think about when Lab Radar first came out. It's still a fairly big box, and you got to position it right, just like you did with other chronographs in the past. So this is just the next iteration. Garmin happened to capitalize on it, or maybe Bullet Seeker did first. Not as well marketed, I don't think, as Garmin, probably for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
We're just in that next chapter, I think, of this technology.
I think no matter what, we need to try and get our hands on a lab radar so that we can compare them. I genuinely, other than durability, which we, with large calibers still remains to be seen. I think it's going to come down to personal preference and who you want to support, because the Garmin is smaller. The Garmin is lighter. Both screens are super bright. Both have buttons in different positions, blah, 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 blah. But it is lighter. It is smaller. It has the nice carrying cases and all that sort of stuff and accessories with it already. The Lab Radar is aluminum housed. The Lab Radar does have twice the battery. The Lab Radar can charge while it's being used. And Kent is reminding us that the Caldwell uses chirp radar versus Doppler radar. Yeah.
Okay.
So Mike's asking if we fondled the Vortex scope mounted laser rangefinder. No, Vortex did not have a booth.
But I think I saw their range scope mounted rangefinder somewhere out there,
Oh, did you?
like on
Okay.
a display rifle.
Oh, maybe. Yeah. Okay.
You know what? I wanna say it was possibly at KDEX's booth, because I know Jamie works for KDEX Canada, or
Vortex Canada.
Vortex
That
Canada as well.
could have been.
So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised that that's where it was. Didn't pay any attention to it, honestly. New spotting scope from Night Force. No, I was unaware of that. Did Night Force have? Yeah,
Maybe. Yeah. Night
why
Force.
didn't we stop at Night Force?
That's a good question. I would have thought you and Jens would have done it the one day that we were separated.
Oh, Jens was just distracting me with the Schmidt and Bender stuff.
Well, last year Schmidt and Bender wasn't that far off from Night Force.
Night
But I
Force
don't-
optics 10546.
Well, there you
Scheisse.
go. I guess we should have gone to Night Force.
Oh,
I got to be honest with you.
but I could have, should have.
I'm not interested in those price points for optics.
No. No, it's
But
a little swallow for sure.
I'm a little wiener shooter, so I suppose it's self-evident. But
Nobody wants to hear about your wiener.
I understand.
Dan a while back was asking if I looked at the rimfire, the new rimfire action that he, you know what, he told me about it before we left, and I said, yeah, that sounds good. I'll go check that out, and then it completely leaked out. I didn't think once about it. Dan, if you're still here, let us know what that new rimfire is, that precision rimfire that you're talking about.
I
think
I remember walking past a booth that had a precision rimfire action, but I don't remember who it was, and I didn't really pay too much attention to it.
And you guys, you wouldn't believe the how do I say the overstimulation a guy gets walking through those places. Like, there's, first of all, tons of people, and then there is stuff to see everywhere. It's just like,
let's not forget, there's
Toys R Us. You got to touch everything.
Yeah. Let's remember that there are more than 2,600 booths.
Yeah.
Spread out over 5 floors of one massive Vegas hotel and the entirety of Caesars Forum on top of that. And to get from one end of the show to the other, you literally have to go outside and walk across a causeway across the road and go into another physical building.
Oh, I kind of feel bad that I didn't remember to make an effort to go see it. Damn it.
Dan will have to message us next year while we're there so we remember. It's hard. Well, and this is the other thing. When people know that you're going to SHOT you get a million messages of people that can't or aren't going, saying, hey, check this out for me. Like, while you're there, let me know what you think of this thing. And there's so many of those that, and I'm not saying don't do that, Dan. I'm not saying don't suggest it, but it is, there's a lot of, it's hard to separate the wheat from the chaff sometimes with those sorts of things.
It is.
So.
Jens, it was funny. Jens was laughing. He threw a post up on Facebook, and I can't remember what it was for, but he asked the question, "What do you guys want to see?" And he started laughing after a couple hours. He goes, "I shouldn't have done that."
Yeah.
Stuff was just rolling in. Go see this. Go see that.
Exactly. And Dan, yes, we will definitely have beers with you if you're at the show next year. 100%.
Absolutely. Yeah.
One more thing to talk about, and this is a relatively new release, but it wasn't a SHOT Show. It was slightly before Shotshow. And that is the Crusader Arms Templar T2. They are bringing out a new version of the. Hey, Malcolm, tell hi, say hi to Malcolm first, Carrie. He's probably just saying hi to Rooster, but that's okay. Say hi from me also. So a new version of the Templar. I have no idea what's new about it.
Yeah, they're tight-lipped, hey?
Yeah, I literally have no idea what's new about it. Now, here's my thought. First of all, if I were to make a second generation of the Templar, I would make it lighter, and I would fix the gas system. Now, Mike says he fondled it at TACOM. Did they do either of those things, Mike? New gas system and lighter, less boxy look to it? And we'll see what he answers.
You know what? I don't mind that look so much. Honestly, it sort of differentiates it a bit from like the WKs and whatever. So
I'm okay with the monolithic upper, and I'm not like super upset at the boxy look. I don't think aesthetically it's quite as nice. But the reality is that it still had gas piston issues because they didn't redesign the piston. They just doubled the diameter from the MCR. If I've said this in public before, it was an inelegant solution to the problem that is the MCR and the 180C piston problems. And that made it the heaviest 180 platform on the market. The Sterling Arms R18 uses an AR10 handguard, and it was still lighter than the Templar, the first generation Templar. Yeah. By several ounces. Now, Mike's telling me they put a lighter pencil barrel on it. I want to see it shoot. And the reason I say that is several 180 companies have experimented with light pencil barrels on these rifles.
That's true.
And they found out that the pistons create too much whip with the barrels, and it just doesn't work. The original iteration of the WK-180C, when they were still partnered with Wolverine, was originally sold with a 223 Wild pencil barrel, and very quickly they quietly changed it to a thicker 5.56 barrel, and that was the reason why. And Sterling Arms, their pre-production models,
Right.
and I think their first like 100 production model rifles were released with a pencil barrel, a fluted pencil barrel.
That's
and
right.
they had accuracy problems. They went back and did more testing, and they found out that it was the piston causing whip. They replaced it with a thicker, non-fluted, still 223 Wild barrel. And it solved their accuracy problems as well. So I hope that they solve the problem, but I don't know. I want to see it. I'm interested in it.
Look for.
It's time for a generation 2 and generation 3 and that sort of stuff to start hitting the market over the next 12 months. So I'm excited to see what Templar does with it. We've had multiple people talk and email to us asking us to review that rifle. Here's what I'm going to say. Everybody listening right now to this, if you want us to review the Templar, we would like to review the Templar. Here is the reality of the Canadian gun podcasting and media industry. We buy everything almost that we have to do. Most companies in Canada are not interested in TNRing, which trade and review. Trade and review?
Test
and review. Thank you. Test and review rifles. And they're even less interested in like giving a rifle. There are very few companies that will do that, and we absolutely love the companies that have done that for us in the past. Because the reality is, I can't be buying tens of thousands of dollars worth of rifles every year. I can't afford it, and especially because we don't have sponsors for ammunition. We buy the ammunition, and all of the 180 reviews I've done, with the exception of the Lockhart Raven, which isn't really a 180. I've done minimum 1,000 rounds, and some of them I've gone over 1,000 rounds. So they cost money to do. So we contacted Crusader Arms when they first brought out the Templar, and they weren't interested in providing us with a rifle. We have contacted Crusader Arms again, hoping that they would be interested in sending us the T2 when it is released. If you would like to see us review the T2, send Crusader Arms a message. And Mike, sometimes we do sometimes sell them again, but you can't sell them for the same price that you just bought them for. They're not primers. So you can't make money on them. You can recoup some of your money, but you can't recoup all of your money on them. So this is the thing, guys, help us out. Send an email to Crusader Arms. Say that you have trusted all of the 180 platform rifles that we've done in the past, and you want to see us specifically review the Templar T2. Let them know, because that's the only way that they know. And that's the only way that we'll review it, frankly, because I've got multiple 180 rifles that I'm very happy with. I'm not going to buy anymore. Well,
I have them now.
But you're in possession of them. But I'm not going to buy anymore. I'm just not. So there we go.
Yeah. Bit of a stretch.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are we done?
Yeah.
So I guess
my old bum to bed.
Deal. We're at that point where we tell everybody, if you're still listening and watching the show, if you have not given us a like or a thumbs up or whatever it is, whatever platform, please make sure to do that. You can find our website at bspodcast.ca. You can find our email, info@bspodcast.ca. You can send us emails with feedback, with comments, asking us to review the Templar T2, as long as you CC us in the email to Crusader Arms. You can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/BS Podcast. We are on YouTube, youtube.com/@BS_podcast. And you can find us all the places. Finally, thank you to all of our sponsors and our viewers. Without you guys, we wouldn't have a show in the first place. So we're talking about Shane and Steve, Miles, Carrie and Cappy, Duncan and Rob, Phil, Doug and Nisa, Vanya and Carly, Oscar and JR, and of course, all of you who are listening and watching to this at the moment. Next week, we should have a very exciting guest. We're still working out the kinks on that to get confirmation, but hopefully we'll have a very exciting guest. And I guess we'll see everybody next week.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
But some of these bullets, as you saw, have an incendiary device on the tip of it, which is a heat-seeking device.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
Welcome to your weekly dose of BS, the Ballistically Speaking podcast.